And welcome back to the Basil Breen Boombox. I had to listen. I know. I didn't know you were going to be that good at it. I'm here with Jill. Actually, I forgot to ask you before this. What should I introduce you as? Because you said you had two names.
Yeah, that's the question I asked myself.
Interesting. I just refer to you as Jill.
Yeah, Jill is enough.
Jill's enough, and then we can work it out with the rest of the post.
Yeah.
I'm here with Jill, a.k.a. The antidote to Blue Monday was my original name because we actually had planned this for Blue Monday.
We had.
Which would have been even more hilarious, obviously because her beautiful blue hair as well, so it would have come full circle. But we're actually here on Valentine's Day of all days, which is hilarious. So I want to thank you for saving me from my loneliness, and I've hidden away something that is not really related, but I'm going to try start a new thing, right? We're going to bring Valentine's Day crackers to the masses, right? So
I love this.
Now, hopefully we don't light a fire over that candle. I didn't even think.
I'll do it with my right hand.
All right, so wait, I haven't done this in a while.
Okay.
So it's just 1, 2, 3, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
I won!
And it's even more hilarious because it's empty. These are build your own. Wow. So it's a good metaphor for how my heart has been left.
It's a Schrodinger's cat.
Anyway,
my God.
Oh no, hopefully it didn't break the stuff there.
Anticipation was enough.
Yes.
I know. I look like a child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that whole bit worked out well, so let's just keep going.
Let's do it.
So basically met Jill one night at I think it was the show-off sessions.
Show-off sessions, because that's what we fucking are.
Yes, we just look at me.
Jazz hands everywhere.
Jazz hands, and then basically then as soon as I met you, I just knew. Oh, these are one of these like kind of special people in the world. And I mean special in the grandest sense. Like just some people that I meet, and there's just something about them that I don't know what it is, but I just go, oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, you! Oh my God, you're this fucking entity in the world. And I kind of just knew, I was like, oh, I need to get her. Because are you from Skerries?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so then that was our connection. It's like, you're Skerries. Like, you need to come on my podcast, blah, 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 blah. And also, she had a pretty terrific vocal, if I do say so myself. You know, you gotta take the compliments now.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, it was just the level of control, and obviously the vocal is something that I'm always learning about and getting more familiar with, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But I just want to go back to the beginning of time itself, or even, I don't even know how to begin. I don't know. So what I want to ask is basically, how did you even get started in music in any general sense or form, or where would that journey begin for Jill?
You
must go back, Jill.
I was probably singing before I could speak.
Hilarious.
Met my daughter, I definitely believed that I was probably singing before I spoke, because she's used to like sing with intonation. Before she could use words, she tried to talk to us through intonation, and it was always like this. So there's not when definition to words. It was definitely intonation that was trying to express
like emotion
feeling.
With melody.
Yeah, and my mom used to sing, like, shout out to Jonah Riley.
Woo!
She's had a good influence on lots of people in this town. You're too young to know, but
yes. Well, now I know. But I'm getting influence through you now.
She used to do all our ballet costumes and make she ran the badminton club for years for kids, so she's pretty cool. But where was I going with that?
Yes, we are going back to the beginning. Of intonation.
My mom singing to me. So she used to sing loads of little songs to us when we were tiny. So we were always singing. And then our dad played guitar. So every weekend there'd be like a family session. So there's music everywhere all around me. So the first time I got out and did something, I was 4.
Wow.
I was in Nikioni's class in
Nikioni?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had her. She was brilliant.
Oh my God.
She had the little movements.
Here, the little. Yes. She taught me about conducting and about.
But I learned just from watching.
Yeah.
She was just brilliant. She'd just be getting in. She was. I remember her so well, actually. Yeah. And it used to be kind of a joke because I used to be in the choir or whatever, and it was funny at the time. But now it's so weird when you look back to these things, and now you look at them. Oh, I wish I had have like been able to appreciate that more in a way. But Definitely. It sounds like you did in a way.
Absolutely, brilliant. Rael Mara had a massive influence on my musical upbringing.
Yeah,
I suppose.
it was brilliant.
So,
They had the chin all every week. And
yeah,
it
did
was like,
you? I don't know if you remember that when I was there, in a Gogon used to put on classical music every Friday. So
oh.
you'd be listening to the Flight of the Bumblebee or the
Yeah, it
March
used
of
to
the
be,
Torrid,
yeah.
or I actually know the names of these pieces of music because
That's
of
hilarious.
them. Like she was another witch in other ways, but in terms
Yeah.
of music, she was absolutely amazing. So,
Yeah, that's
and Nick
brilliant.
Youney in particular taught us lots about how to produce your voice well and to do whatever. Like I learned out a 4-octave voice with them, which was
What?
pretty impressive. Yeah, don't anymore now. It smoked like a fucking chimney.
You lost a few octaves.
I definitely still have 3, but the 4th,
Yeah.
those extra high notes are
Interesting.
gone.
I used to, well, I can still kind of, if I really try and practice, but I used to be walking in the air like, I used to be a little tiny little guy. Just, I used to be able to hit them notes. I can kind of still do it. I don't know if my voice.
Your falsetto is pretty good.
Yeah, it's like this is an interesting thing because I don't know if my voice it obviously did break or something, but maybe it didn't break as a normal man's would. Maybe I still have a kind of higher. I think my voice is it's at a higher frequency than usual than everybody's. That's why I think this is what I blame my loudness on. Let's say I think they only think I'm loud because there's no one else competing at that register.
That register? No, you have a loud voice.
I have no, but then, I always make it. It's only because my register guys. I'm so quiet. Yeah, you know what I mean. But I just want to go. So you learned that you had a 4-octave register. Wait, how did
I
you
was
even...
really lucky, spoiled. Like,
yes.
like spoiled by who I had an opportunity with, not spoiled like financially or anything.
Yes.
But I mean, you were in Rattlamar. Did you get to do the National Youth Choir?
Yes, you did it. Where was that? The Tree Arena now.
Oh, you did
what
it
was
in
it called?
I did it in.
No, I did it at the other place.
The Point in
the Point Depot.
The Point Depot, and then the RDS was where I did it, and then in the National Concert Hall was the creme de la creme. So,
sorry, just on this point because shout out to my teacher. Jeez, I'm so terrible that I forget her name, but she was brilliant. I had her for 5th and 6th year. Rebecca was her name anyway, but she's Miss Boucher Hayes' daughter. Anyway, won't get too much, but Rebecca Ward is her real name. I forget her Irish name. That's where
Rebecca's
I'm stuck.
Class.
But she was brilliant. I still think that because I used to sing and stuff, but I was a little messer, right? So then one time, I didn't get picked, let's say, to go to this thing, but they were picking names out of a hat.
Oh no!
And I got picked to go, and I'm convinced. I seen her years later. I was like, "Did you just did that because I'm a singer guy?" And she's like, "No, that's what she." But I think, it was kind of a reluctant thing because I was such a little bastard that he doesn't deserve this, but because he has a bit of singing and stuff, he might as well go. That was my interpretation of it. But then we did things like the Beatles medley, the Carpenters.
Yeah, the Carpenters.
And we got introduced to all these brilliant people. And we got the medleys were just all the best bits of each song and made into one super song.
With 4-part harmony. Don't forget that bit now. The 4-part harmony is what really blew our minds. Tiny little minds.
But I didn't even understand. But it was only years later that I realised that introduction to music definitely helped shape my own taste and everything else.
I think we need to give them a massive kudos.
Yes.
Because look at how many bands came out of our Skerries.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And many
musicians.
And I have to say, not just Rattlamara, it's the secondary school.
Yes.
It's
the whole ecosystem.
St. Patrick's as well. Yeah, there's just a really good culture for people
of
to
arts and
inspire
music.
you
There
through
was,
art and music. Like
even in secondary school.
And down to the drama, like even the drama society. Like I could never be a proper member of the drama society, which was the next sort of thing I would have been talking about after the National Youth Choir.
Yeah.
But at the time you had to have a parent in it so that someone would mind you essentially. And my parents were too busy. That my mum had 6 kids and my dad was like the director of KPMG. So it's like, a bit busy.
You know.
Yeah. So they didn't have, not that they didn't have the time to put into stuff. They did. My dad ran the rugby club, the rugby for the
under. They only had
so much time. So my mum did help with my artistry stuff. She drove me everywhere. She pick me up, made my
Yes.
costumes, all that kind of stuff. But they didn't have the time to go and do the drama society. So if I did anything, it had to be through something else, or I'd be blagging Mary Carpenter, going, "Please pretend I'm your kid so I can do this." And she just sort of shoved me in under her arm to let me do the variety shows or whatever it was. And
No
then
way.
she dragged me down to the community games, and we did that. You don't do it, or I don't think you guys would have had a chance to do it. But there used to be a part of the community games that was for theatre, and there was like a performing arts section. So there was a team from every county, and one year I had Skerries won it for Dublin. We had to go to whole regional little events, like the way they do for the athletics.
No
exactly
way.
the same, but it was for drama and dancing. Like,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it was cool because it meant you had to make up a 15-minute production piece. So it was like it was made up of loads of little scenes. So people wrote the little dramas and then did the little
dramas.
Yeah. So like did a little drama or a little skit about something, and it was always like something topical from Skerries.
Yes.
So the year I did it, it was about tourists coming to Skerries and all about that, and then we added songs in that were a real jazz on shite. But it was brilliant. Yeah, but it was a great opportunity. Sad it's not there now. And like as I said, we represented
the
Dublin.
regionals.
Yeah, in the regionals. And then we went on to represent Dublin in Mosney at the time when it was still open.
Yeah.
And on the big, huge stage, which we all felt really professional about. And it was great crack.
Such a beautiful introduction, or not even introduction, like a way to get into the arts at such a young age, and to realise, especially doing the little skits and doing that regional stuff, because you're flexing that sort of creative muscle in a way at such a young age. And then I think the younger you are, the less constrained you are by what, like, let's say people think, and everything, all the adult stuff comes in and blocks.
Like, no, get out. I'm not adulting today. I'm in Peter Pan and Peter Pan.
But the sooner, if you never get to flex that, I don't think it's harder to be an adult and then come out, I think, in a way. Like, I feel like coming out is not just synonymous or something that people have a certain sexual orientation can do. Exactly. I think you can, because it's great. I think this is what when I start thinking about coming out and what it actually means. Like, let's say let's say I'm gay, right, and then I'm like, I come out. That means I'm as honest with the world now as possible, and now the reason, like, if it feels so flamboyant, I think anyway, is because they are more honest with the world. That now they can be honest about everything else. That the after effect of coming out is that it's like, oh,
exactly.
That's like so small
I don't have to
compared to just
anymore.
And to be now, I can be fully myself.
Absolutely.
Fully. And that's what
that's such a win that day,
it's
isn't it?
Such a win.
It is. It's such a win.
But they get it all. They get all that goodness just because they were born like for a certain sexual orientation. Yeah. But I felt now I've had my own kind of coming out as a musician in a way. Same. And as a person in a way, like so you felt a bit of that as well.
Always, I've done it several times. I wouldn't say it's just a one-time thing.
Yes,
it was like you talk about in your songs, breaking out of the small town thing.
Yeah,
Pearl Jam song was my anthem until you created that song, actually. So you replaced Eddie Vedder. Yes. That's pretty good now.
Well, we got the sense of being in the small town.
Yeah, it's like there was a song he wrote, the song Daughter, and another one, Elderly Woman Behind the Shop Counter in a Small Town. They're two songs that really hit me home.
Girl.
Yeah.
So then because it's interesting because you've decided to dye your hair like beautifully blue.
Thank you. It's not so beautiful right now, but it is bright blue. Yeah.
What was the decision with that?
Okay, that's a funny story here. Well, it is. It's probably a bit of a sad story. When people hear it, they go, "Oh my God, that's sad." But what happened is I always wanted to have really vibrant hair.
Yes.
But I grew up in a house where my mum was like, let's respect everybody and not go too crazy. We're already the mad family on the street.
Yeah.
We are the mad family on the street.
The last thing we need is a child with blue hair on their arm.
Yeah, listen, you don't need to be advertising. You need to be minimising, right?
Yes.
So I grew up in the 80s and 90s where absolutely you were to minimise. If you thought being gay was bad, being fucking eccentric was worse.
Yeah.
Oh, holy Jesus Christ, you can't be an eccentric woman.
Whoa.
No. And actually, do you know what gave me a breath was Elena Bonham Carter when she came out and she was visible in the world. I went, that's who I am. She's that nobody else her. She can't be her.
Yes.
And I sort of got a lot of inspiration from that feeling. Do you know, like going recognizing other people. That's something actually I never had before was idols. I never invested in idols. I remember being distinctly when I was about 8, being at the Fawcett Circus down the town, and he had a picture of Michael Jackson. Now, don't ask me what it was about, right? It was the weirdest thing. He put out this picture of Michael Jackson, and everybody around me started screaming, going, "Rah, yeah, we love Michael Jackson." Yeah. I'm like, what the? How do they love Michael Jackson? Why do they love Michael Jackson? They don't fucking know Michael Jackson. Yeah? Irrational to me that these people could be screaming about someone. Didn't make any sense. No, didn't make any sense at all. I would have more reverence for somebody who I knew, like one of my neighbours who was class and taught us all to play rounders. Do you know that kind of thing? That's an idol.
Mr. Higgins!
Yeah, he's worth fucking idolising. He taught me something worth of value. Do you know, like I know him. Yeah, I like Michael Jackson's music, but I haven't had a chance to ask him why he wrote that. Do you really mean this, or is this just my interpretation of what he's saying? Does that?
Yes.
So it's you can. I never got that ever until such a time where I suppose social media came out, where you could actually meet your idols.
Yes,
and, you know, you're like, or not your idols, but the people who are, they're like your suitors.
That you respect, that like they were within your sort of reach, let's say.
Yeah, or people I might be interested in idolising. I sort of got an opportunity to interview them, for want of a better description, by seeing them through documentaries or where people talk to them in the real world, as opposed to while they're on stage. And that's the thing I wanted to talk to you about my name. It's to me, I'm probably of a different generation where that integrity from one place to another means something different. So I keep a constant flow of the essence of who I am wherever I go. But if I'm on stage, I am Jill Fields. And my bass player will argue to the end that I am Jill O'Reilly, but I am not. It's a character I built, a name I took time crafting or getting she is a persona, she is an entity. When people see, that's why I got upset. Do you remember when Killian put my name as Jill Fields? I was like, oh my God, dude, I haven't been called Jill Fields in ages. And it sort of put a pressure on me to be Jill Fields, because she's
interesting.
She's like, not that I sound like an absolute schizophrenic now, but you can relate to it.
I can relate to this. 100%.
Yeah, and I really think that's why I wanted to have the conversation with you, is because you are really Donica. And you're not Basil.
I'm not Basil.
No, you're not at all.
Sorry, folks.
It's not. And I'm like, Jill Fields was really important to me on loads of levels. Like, it did come from the band I was in, Dem Fields. We all had joke names, myself, Ashy, and Mooney. We had Full Moon. It's for Full Moon for Mooney, and Ash was Fool Ash. And then I couldn't come up with one that rhymed up my name, so I just went, fuck it, I'm Jill Fields.
Jill Fields.
Yeah, and I liked it. The reason I liked it is because I'm into all mad witchy stuff, or not witchy stuff, pagan stuff. I like that.
Yes.
I feel really connected to that part of our heritage, and I like the journey in the tarot from the fool to the magician. And I felt when I had finally got a chance to be in a band that was of my own making with my sister and stuff, that was the beginning of our journey from...
So sorry, the fool to the magician, what do you mean by that?
It's tarot. It's
okay.
So in the tarot, the major arcana has... a number of cards.
Yeah.
Can't remember now because my brain is fried.
Yes. but we know there's a fool and there's a magician.
But the point is that the start card is the fool, and then the journey through the major arcana is the fool's journey to become the magician. And that's why I kind of shook the name off, because I had travelled a massive spiritual journey from the birth of Jill Fields and Dem Fields onto becoming myself.
And now you're the magician in a way.
I'm an alchemist.
Or the alchemist. Yes. So then what is... So Jill Fields is sort of... was a pointer, let's say, or like a beginning or the start of an entity that did exist, but has now transformed into...
Yeah, I think I'm something different. Like, I definitely feel there's parts of me. It's like growing up. You're the maiden, the mother, and then the crone. So I'm on that journey. I've been the maiden, I've been the mother, and I'm heading into crondom, whether I like it or not. Like, so, and how to embrace that, and how to change, and stay true to myself, but become what I am becoming. It's
the next, not to resist.
Yeah, and for me, it's come quite fast. Like I told you, I've a rare brain condition called cavernous angioma, which means the blood vessels in my brain start growing in weird ways. So they're like little raspberries, and they're forming like all over my brain in various places, and they can affect different things. So
Oh,
depending on which lobe they're on or where they are, they can trigger epilepsy or, stop your speech patterns working or stuff like that. But um, there's no cure for it. The only thing they can do is like preventative surgery or emergency surgery
well,
to
if something gets really
cauterize
bad or
it.
something.
Well, what happens is if there's too much pressure in my brain, as I said, they're little raspberries. If one of those little balls burst, it's a brain hemorrhage.
Yes.
But it's not quite the same as the other type of brain hemorrhage, which I had a couple of years ago. It's when these burst, it's less blood comes out. But the point is, if they bleed outwards into your brain tissue, that causes damage to the brain tissue it absorbs into.
Yes.
Whereas if they bleed inwards into the little cup, like the raspberry has when you pick it, then it gets time to dissipate naturally through your blood vessels. So when I get a really bad headache, it's probably like not a migraine, because I also suffer from that chronic migraine. But if I get these headaches that feel like a knitting needle in my head, it's probably them having a little pop but bleeding inwards. Because if they bled outwards, I'd start not functioning.
Jesus, this is.
That's why I keep like forgetting where I am, just in case.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
are like,
yeah.
she seems like she's.
It's not her talking. It's the strawberries or the raspberries.
The raspberries.
The raspberries.
Yeah.
Sorry, get my fruit mixed up. But so just on this, because I did see in your bio something about CM something plus. I don't know what it was. I have it written down.
CCM
CCM
1+.
CCM 1+, and so. How did you find out that this was happening on your brain?
Through male practice.
This is turning an ad now for some insurance scam.
No, it's my other band.
Yeah, okay. So many names.
Okay, so basically what happened was as I said, had migraine, chronic migraine. So trying to manage that over the last 30 odd years has been a nightmare. So my GP and I tried taking a low dose of antidepressants, which can work to stop the electrical impulses of the migraines happening and can lower the amount that you get. So I was on them. And then I was dancing around the kitchen with my kids cooking dinner, and I stood up and smacked my head clean off the top of the bottom of the press.
Oh.
At full force. Jump. So gave myself a right smack. Didn't get knocked out, but I did get concussion. So I went to the doctor going, I don't feel right. And he was like, chill. You're grand. You're just mental. And I'm like, he didn't mean.
Thanks, doctor.
Thanks, doc. But, he meant it in a loving, endearing way. I know people are going, he did not. But I know this guy my whole life.
Obviously have a relationship with him.
I have a good relationship with him. And he's like, you're just nuts, Jill. Relax.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
sometimes
I don't think.
You need to hear that. I need to hear that sometimes. Like, no, just relax. You're a bit eccentric or whatever.
Totally, yeah. You're in your fucking high flow and you need to just have chill there, sit in the corner. But so anyway, he thought that was going on, and I was like, okay, I'll accept that. I am a bit off the wall.
Yeah, okay.
But I went into work, and my friend who sits beside me, I worked in the passport office. So you're expected to do 5 boxes of processing, 25 passports per box a day, right?
Oh.
So, but I used to do 7 to 9.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to you. I'm a nut job if I'm, working away.
That
and
kind of stuff.
So when I was sitting beside her, she was going, you've done less work than me today. And I was like, no, I didn't. I'm working grand. And she was like, no, you're not. So I go, okay. So she's like, I think you should go to the doctor. So then I met my brother later that day, and he was like, Joe, you are off the wall in a special way today. I was like, okay.
Okay, something's going on.
Yeah, so then I went back to the doctor and I says, look, Steve says. And once he heard Steve says, I was like, he'll accept that because he also knows all my brothers. So he's like, okay, if Steve says you're off the walls, then you must be really off the walls. So he said, right, go for an MRI or a CT scan. So I did that. But I took the long finger about it because he wasn't making me feel like it was a bad thing. Meantime, I'm taking Nurofen like it's fucking Christmas or happy.
Yeah.
And,
Christmas with Nurofen.
Because the pain was so bad.
Yeah.
Next thing, I get this unmerciful pain, the worst pain I've ever felt in my whole entire life. Like someone just baseball batted me to the head, right?
Oh, wow.
Straight here. And I fell to the ground again, dancing in the kitchen. And and I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. So I rang him and I said, please, can you let Amy know I'm coming in? So I went in and I was dopey. I was in A&E, left on the floor for 14 hours 14 hours sitting on the floor outside A&E. Didn't even get taken in, even though I had had a smack in the head, was having severe vertigo, all this kind of stuff. So A&E is bad, man. If someone with a head trauma is left outside sitting on the floor, I'm sorry, but that's really bad. So anyway, did get in eventually. They finally got me for a CT scan. And they said to me, it looked like my brain had bled a few times. And I was like, what are you talking about? A few times, right? So, yeah, right. And is it bleeding right now? It's like, it looks like it's stopped right now, but we were free. So long story short, it took 6 months fighting with various people and paying too much money to private people and not getting any answers to finally get an MRI. And because I had this horrific pain here, like I can't explain it. It was on and off. If I got tired, it would get really bad. And my eye was really annoying me, this eye. It used to be my good eye. My left eye was my crap eye. You wear glasses, you know, one's good and one's shit. So this was getting bad. And I was like, what's going on? And anyway, got the MRI and I immediately got a call going, so your brain bled. Not just once, several times. I was like, oh, wonderful. So then they said, we'll take you in for another MRI to check your whole spine. Because obviously what happened was they did not tell me I had cavernous angioma. They suspected I did because they showed me my MRI and there were all these little spots. And I was like, what the fuck are they? Because I thought they were brain tumours. Do you know like when you see?
Yeah, of course. Oh.
Yeah, they're like loads of little spots. And I was like, that's not normal. Like they shouldn't be there. They were not there in my MRI I had when I was 16. So freak out. Anyway, I keep shorten it. So then
you've all the time in the world.
They didn't tell me anything about these other spots, but concentrated on one behind my eye and said you've a DVT, which is like deep vein thrombosis, and a normal aneurysm. So it looks like a bubble develops on the straight part of your vein. So it comes up like this, but it gets really thin, like a balloon would. So it kept getting porous and then leaking. So it was leaking into there. So it's on my optic nerve, the blood vessel that leaks feeds my optic nerve. Jesus. So that's why I was getting the eye issues. When it would bleed, it would make my eye go funny. And the pain was like, it's sort of pretty much just in there if you were to do a cross section.
Wow.
So I got put on a mad list, that if I got a headache, I was going to be airlifted out of wherever I was, right?
Oh my goodness.
And I was set
that's a strange list to be on.
Yeah. I was
the
like,
VIP list.
Yeah, it's like I thought only the president should be on that one. Like, but anyway, they tell me that, and that really scared me. I was like, why do I need to be on that list? And I was like, no, because if this goes again, you're dead, woman. Dead. And I'm like, okay.
I don't want to be on that list. That's a scary list.
No, it's a horrible list. I don't want to be on that list.
Can you take me off that list?
Take me off, please. So anyway, they said they scheduled me for an operation to coil my aneurysm. So that is basically a little ball of metal that they send up through a straw, through your groin, up through your heart, in through your head, and
Jesus,
fishing line stuff.
What
I'm like, stop. Like, so I was like, okay, and they scheduled that for
That's totally fine.
Yeah, totally fine. 6th of April was my date.
Oh,
6th of April 2020. So you can imagine my dismay when COVID hit. I had been in quarantine already. Before COVID happened, I was told not to leave my house because if I got a cough or cold, I could burst this bloody aneurysm, right? So I had to give up work and everything. And I was in my house from Christmas time. And then when COVID was like, no way. But I was like, haha, now the rest of the world knows what I feel like. Haha. But then the next thing happened was a phone call going, so we've shut down all the hospitals. I was like, oh, great. So then they're like, so no surgery. So yeah, and I couldn't cry that hard because if I cried that hard, I'd pop my brain. So I was like, don't cry, don't get angry, don't be upset. All the things that you really want to do is get really angry because I was like so scared. I have 2 kids. Like they're now 17 and 18, but at the time they were 14 and 15. And you know, they'd been through enough stuff in our lives like without that. So
this is just another
horrific. So like
we thought, when we get to this stage on the 6th of April, like that's the next sort of map or place on the map where things could potentially get better from there. Yeah. And then suddenly that gets ripped.
Totally ripped away. But it wasn't a good thing going in for this thing. Like they were saying to me, it was the first surgeon I talked to was like, it's a 50-50 chance of even making it out of it. Like, so, and my dad and myself my dad was like, now, do you want to do it? Because you don't have to do it. You can, I know loads of people who live with things for a long time and it's better to not touch it and, you know, open your head up or whatever and risk
such
that.
a man's way of like
listen, kind of. And I was like, I'm a risk taker. I've always been, and if I didn't take the opportunity, I said I'm only walking, or literally, because my parents took a chance on a brand new surgery and took a risk. So I'm like, it succeeded there. I can walk. I did 15 years of ballet and I should never have ever walked. So, like I've had success with I've had won the lottery.
Rolling this dice,
won the lottery surgically, lost it medically.
Yeah.
But, I said I'll take my chances. So I did, and signed myself up to wait for the operation. So that went on for a couple of months. And then I got a call in the middle of COVID was it a whole year later? And they said, we'll get you in May. I was like, oh my God, brilliant. Great. So got in May, and they brought me in for the surgery, prepped me up, and I had to sign a thing saying, you might die, 50-50 chance, and there's a 3% chance that you'll keep your sight. And I was like, okay, I didn't know about that one. Sign. As I'm being injected with all the stuff going, what? So I went in and I was really nervous that day, freaked out, like going... And I'd had all the conversations with my kids going, if I'm a vegetable, turn off the machines. You don't want to have those conversations, but they were the conversations we had. And all those conversations about things I didn't want to talk to them about till they were 18, but I talked to them about them when they were 14 and 15 because I wanted them to hear it from me, not someone else, all that stuff. So it was a weird couple of weeks, but I went in, said goodbye to them, and it was the height of COVID. No one's allowed into the hospital. So I knew I was going in there for I don't know how long. From once I went in, I didn't know how long it would take me to recover, any of that sort of stuff. So went in, and I woke up after the operation, and I was in the intensive care or critical care place, and I felt really weird. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna vomit. And they told me, don't move, you're not allowed to move. I'm like, okay. I couldn't move for whatever, 6 hours or something, in case the entry wound in my groin popped, because that's one of your major arteries or veins, whatever, that would go making a mess. So, or me dying. So none of that. So I had to stay still. And then about an hour later, all I could see was someone coming up, and it was like, the one video of the person was like, you're like sitting there. I didn't have bandages, but I couldn't see beyond my mask, and it was a bit claustrophobic,
Yeah.
And then this woman came in and said, so the surgery, we didn't do it. I was like, what do you mean you didn't do it? I feel like you did it. I was like, oh, no, we did do it. We went in and we did the surgery. But unfortunately, fortunately, the surgeon decided he wasn't capable of doing this surgery. He was too much for him. So he came out, and we're going to get another surgeon for you tomorrow. I was like, what the
fuck? Oh my goodness.
What?
You had kind of like a fake surgery.
No, they went all the way in.
You went in, yeah, but it's like,
but then
you just thought, oh, it's over.
It's over. And no, it wasn't. So I had to, and I had to be prepped again the next day and go through the whole thing again the next day. But the next doctor gave me great odds. He was like, 50-50 chance of losing your eye, because, you might. It's on the optic nerve. He was really like a Scottish guy, class man, Mr. Rowlick. If you ever have vascular issues with your brain, get onto him. He's in the Hermitage.
Use code Jill.
Code Jill for 10% discount. But he was like, you're not going to die today. Not on my watch. And I was like, he says, I don't even want it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, that's more like it.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Where the fuck were you yesterday? So he was like, class. And so anyway, he made me sign that he dropped my death chances down to 3% as opposed to losing my eye chances down to 3%.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
That's a good trade.
That's a really good trade. So I went in and I was like literally smiling as they were banging me up with all the drugs going, I love you, Dr. Rowley.
Yeah.
See you on the other side. And I did. I saw him on the other side with both eyes. And I was like, yes, this is great. Oh my God, I'm alive. And like, I can't explain how much.
Wow.
Yeah. It was brilliant. And then
it's brilliant being alive.
Brilliant being alive. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, I made it. And one of my mates rang me. She's so funny. She's like a total recluse like me. But she's like, I'm ringing you. Checking me out. I'm ringing you. If I could come to the hospital, I'd be at the hospital. But you're alive, and I am alive. And like, it was just brilliant to be alive. That's all I can say. Took ages to get better though. Oh my God. Like poking around in your brain is no fun. I sound like I woke up completely coherent. I was maybe mentally, but my physical self could not keep up with my brain for a long time. So that was hard getting better. I couldn't play my guitar, which nearly broke my bloody heart.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was terrible. I couldn't hold the strings down. Couldn't strum to any degree. Oh,
What did it feel like? Just your brain,
the end of the
energy,
world.
or just your functionality?
You know the way you say you have a purpose. You talked about that
Yes.
with John
John
Doe
Doe could have
yesterday.
been,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yesterday to you.
to me yesterday,
yeah.
last week to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
point.
Could have been years ago
You
at this
released
point.
it yesterday.
Yeah,
and I watched
yeah,
it last
yeah.
night.
Lonely
But,
message, yeah.
yeah. So he's yeah, that thing you were talking about with him was like my purpose. I was like, how am I going to fulfill my purpose if I can't
If this is
play
my
my
vessel to do
instrument?
it, yes.
Yeah, and like I knew I would find my voice again. I couldn't sing to the same extent because you know how much energy it
Oh,
takes to create
yes.
that fireball in your stomach to get out
Yes.
the noise we like to make anyway. So
And we hope you like it too.
please do.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, will I ever be able to do that again? Like, and I had great faith in the fact that I can pull energy from places. You know, like I can go out and stand in the garden or go down to the beach and tell the universe it needs to help me right now and
Yes.
draw in that power, like, and breathe with the sea, or you know, like
Yes.
stand at a tree and you know, feel its age and feel how insignificant
Yes.
you might be beside it, but how much energy it has to give you, especially if you stand like on by a big massive one with its roots stretching out forever.
Interesting.
And my favorite ones are giant sequoias.
Oh.
Class, because they're kind of squishy, so they're
I've
when you
had
lie
a few,
against them, they're like, ooh.
experience with psychedelics and trees, but we'll
Oh,
save
here.
that for a conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
But just on so then was it just a feeling of I can't actually physically do the guitar thing or the singing thing, or was it an energy thing, or what was holding
I
you
felt
back?
like I would never get back there, which is something I'd never felt before, because I don't know, women can probably definitely relate to this. Like when you go through certain physical changes
Yes.
in your life, you have to understand that it will only last a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So women come to that realization a lot quicker than men might,
Oh,
because
yes.
we experience things that last a certain amount of time and then they're over on your sound. So,
yeah.
you know, we
There's
kind of
much more fluctuations in the female form
Yeah.
than the male form.
But it's like it forms part of our psyche in that
Yes.
we can get through a lot more than men can. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel perhaps faster, because we
Your experience
always
has
are
shown
looking
you that in a way.
Yeah, but at least once a month we're looking for the light at the
Yeah,
end of the
yeah,
tunnel.
yeah.
You know, like so
it's a
like,
yes, that does happen a regularly occurring event. It's like when a man gets a flu or something, or when we get like, you know, you just have a higher pain threshold, I think, anyway, personally. If
we
you
do
if
actually
pinch me, I'll be like,
scientifically
ow,
we do.
ow! Like I get so I stub my toes and like the noise is out of me. Like look at me, I'm supposed to be all big and strong and manly. But I'm such a little moan bag. I'm such a moan
You're not
bag.
alone. You're
no,
all right.
yeah,
You're
but you
not
haven't
alone.
seen me at my worst. If I'm hungry, if we were hungry now and you were my family member, like I would be, and you couldn't decide on where we wanted to go or what it was, you would see the worst version of me. But forget about that. But I that's a really interesting idea. Like the form that we take and the experience that we have and the effect of sort of the stuff we take for granted on our experience, like just the fact that you're like I'm a male, so that's like my physical form gives me a different lens to look through the world and experience, and then you have that being as a woman, and then you can just say, oh, I come through things usually and everything is fine. But when you feel then that I like this might last, like how do you, so the whole thing with this, as I'm watching you as a sort of neurotic, like hypochondriac man, I'm just thinking
I'm a neurotic hypochondriac woman.
yeah,
but this cured me, I have to say. Cured me.
I've come through the other side of these things. I don't think I'm as afraid of I think it was a fundamental fear of death or whatever, but now I'm just more in a place now where I'm just alive now, and I'm just happy that that's the case.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, no matter what happens, like no matter what, it'll just be, even if it ends tomorrow or whatever, that's just the life I lived in a way, and I actually just have accepted that in a weird way. So
me
once you
too.
accept that your finite existence, then everything kind of melts away. But you have to really accept it. But just in terms of the mental games that or the mental sort of gymnastics, like of dealing with there's stuff growing on. If someone told me there's stuff growing on my brain,
It's a bit Stephen King.
it's
Isn't
like,
it?
oh no, my brain, not
The
my
dark
brain.
half.
So that's hard.
Not
to
my
do.
brain, anywhere else. I can amputate anywhere else.
then-
It's just a mere flesh wound, but it's
Yes.
actually my computer. It's the thing
computer.
I rely on. It's my favorite part of me.
Ah.
Honestly, God, honestly,
But then
it is my favorite part of me.
Yeah, yes. And then also you have to deal with the doctor saying, oh yeah, potentially you're gonna die, and obviously that changed a little bit. And then you have to go to have the surgery thinking, Jesus, I might wake up. I have to tell people, I have to have conversations with people as if it's the last time, probably, unfortunately, because it actually could be. And
Yeah.
that's a fucking mad the mental health that builds. Like what was it like sort of dealing with
Weird.
that and Kerman through and then learning from that experience?
I learned a lot about people around me.
Yes.
It was kind of scary. Like I didn't talk about it before, but to find myself in a place where I was having no choice about leaving this planet was really weird for me, because I had
Yes.
made several times in my life I said, do you know what, I'm out of here. And it wasn't because I didn't want to be alive. I just didn't want to be alive with the people around me.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's the realization. And I don't think it wasn't the individual people around me. That's not what I mean. I couldn't live in the world we were living in. And I started feeling that when I was 6. Yeah.
Wow.
I distinctly remember my mum used to have this rose garden thing out the front of our house, and there were all big stones. She sold the house recently, and the one thing I asked for was the stone from the front of the
No
house.
way.
My poor brother Connor had to lift it and carry it. He nearly killed himself bringing it home to me. But that was home to me. Nothing else of Town Parks was this rock. And I remember sitting on that rock when I was about 6, being horrified at how horrible people were to each other. And I didn't want this to be what life was like. You know, like I
Yes.
didn't want it to be like that. I was like, why are people mean? Why are people?
Yeah.
And it just got in on me so much. Now, at that age, I had no idea you could check yourself out. Like I didn't.
Yes.
But I just knew that I couldn't live in a world like this. And weirdly, I was in a different time zone to you now, where
Yes.
I was indoctrinated into the Catholic Church hardcore,
Oh, yeah.
right? So I had to find a reason for all of that stuff. And the reason presented itself serendipitously on the day of my communion by this poster that they put up that were all like little pictures we'd all drawn of ourselves going to make our communion. But the tagline they chose, or the slogan for our communion was, so for little children to come unto me, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, right? And those words, I'm a really wordy person, and it's only through like now having
Yes.
raised my own children, I realised that my own intellectual disability was
Yeah.
missed. I'm definitely autistic,
Yeah.
so autistic. It's not funny, and I don't see it as a bad thing. I see
Yes.
it as for me, it's my superpower, because I see straight through lots of things. But
Oh,
at the same
yes.
time, there's a big veil in front of lots of other things. I'm completely naive. When it comes to people, they could pull the wool over my eyes like that. And that's not
Yes.
an invitation. But it's, you know what I mean? My friends used to laugh going, you are the most gullible human I've ever met in my life. But it comes out of a place of kindness. And I'm like,
Yes.
totally, I want
And
to believe
optimism,
you.
like,
I don't want to
yay.
believe that anyone tells that many fucking lies.
Yes.
Like, for me, life's too short for lies. I learned my lesson about lying very young, and was like,
Yes.
no, why would you waste your time? That's too much brain space taken up on me remembering all the details of that fucking lie.
yes.
You know, like too
That's
much.
the worst. You get everything comes to light eventually, no matter what.
Yeah,
I
there's
think.
no point. Like, so
And not even just, let's say I lie about, that's not water, that's vodka or something. Like, that's a
Excuse
direct
me.
lie. Oh no, please get your phone. But if that could come out as in, the knowledge that I know that I would give you alcohol now will weigh me down because I was lying to you, and then let's just say that. Not that I've ever done that to somebody before, but it's the weight of the lie on the individual doing the lie.
Yeah.
Also, that's how it can come out. It doesn't have to just come out like, oh, you found out, or whatever. It actually, the lie doesn't. It has a sort of energy about it as well that will come out in a particular way, I think.
Exactly. And even if it's, I used to think there was no harm in white lies. Okay. I really did. I thought there were some lies are worth telling. You know, like if it's too late for someone to change their outfit, you're not going to tell them they look like shit before
Yes.
you go in. You just kind of help them and fix it and
Yeah.
make the best of it and try and give
Well,
them
you
as much
don't
confidence.
have to just go, you look like shit.
No, well, nobody looks like shit. I'm, not,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
wrong- I'm sorry. Sorry.
I know what you mean.
I tend to use very extreme examples
Let's
of
say if
what I'm trying to
I
say.
put lipstick all over, right? I missed my mouth completely, right? let's say, all right, you'll probably will say that. You'll be like, I think there's something
something
here.
on your face
Or maybe
there.
I haven't noticed that the earring that I'm wearing is in the shape of a swastika or something. But then you're like, oh, actually, I'm trying to think of an even more mundane one. Let's say, oh, what's a simple, like a fashion faux pas?
Someone has
like,
oh god.
oh, like what colours don't go with certain colours? Like
or
black and navy.
black and black actually is worse than black and navy.
Is it?
Right? Yeah, black and blue will never do. Is one of the things my mother used to tell me. But hi, I'm breaking all that.
Yeah.
But no, different shades of black is something where someone picks their clothes out in the dark and then they go out and they're like something's made of different textures. So say something's made of nylon and something's made of cotton, and the cotton thing's been washed 100 times. It's not going to be jet black like your computer.
Yes.
It's going to have a slight grey hue to it because some of the dye's been washed out. Whereas the polyester item will keep that black till it's dead, till you burn it. So for the 500 years it's in the landfill, it will stay that shade of black.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so they're not the same. So if you present then in daylight, then it'll look like the way your front of your computer and your desktop looks like. It'll have
soul.
2 shades.
Yeah,
and man,
we're different shades of black. So what I'm trying to get at is, okay, it honesty I think is it's the only kind of way to move forward into the world. There have been times where there's a kind of a stupid little lie that I'm holding in my heart with somebody that I can't really get into now, but eventually it will come to light. But it's annoying that it has come about. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it just annoys me that I'm like, I'm caught up in this stupid fucking thing now because like
I didn't take the time to just say the one thing at the
and
first,
unfortunately, and
place.
it's going to cause a bit of a ruckus, let's say. But that's the price I pay for the actions that whatever happened, right? But
death and consequences.
So,
that's all there is.
But there's not many other lies that I can because I do try to be honest. I think it's just easier. It is less mental space, and I did when I was younger. Like I used to get caught up in story, let's say, or lying. And when you get caught, there's something worse. It's like that feeling of, I'd hate for you to think. Like let's say like I play like flute or something. I'm real good on the flute, and then you hand me a flute, and then you find out you're just looking at me like, oh my god, you just lied. And that's like it's over for me now.
I can tell you, if you told me you could play the flute and you played it badly, I just think that from my perspective, I'd be going, okay, he just really thinks he's really good at it. So
that's what it is. Yeah. But maybe that's actually it. But either way, you learn something about me that is strange. But I think
it takes me a while to realise that you weren't actually able to play the flute. It'll take me 3 days to know that you were lying in the first place. Do you get me? That's what I'm trying to. So, you might have had a few friends like me who believed you about a few things for a few days.
Yes.
Until they went, hang on a bloody second.
But you can lie. You'd be so surprised if you look at Donald Trump. He's the best example. I love watching him because I actually learn more about psychology because he'll just sit there and he'll just be like, I'm the best president, like I've done more for, let's say, African Americans, and it's like, then whoever
you didn't.
And he'll just keep saying it, and then if they go, well, what about this, what about that, it's like, I don't know about that.
Positive reinforcement.
He just keeps saying it, and he just keeps going, we're probably one time he was talking about Germany's response to the COVID, let's say, and it's like the statistics say that they're better, but I think we're probably doing better, probably even far better. And it's like, but no, and then he just keeps saying it, and then he doesn't ever give any ground. He'll just keep going with the lie, right? And just go, hold on, and then eventually you just get sick of asking him. So then you move on. But the point that I learned is that if you really wanted to, you could just keep lying, and then eventually the other person just gets fed up or just kind of goes along with it, and then the rest of the world kind of just...
I've noticed that people do tend to do that because it blows my mind. It was one of the things that drove me into my nihilistic suicidal idolization in my 40s, the third time.
Yes.
So was that sort of stuff. I was like, how? When people can see that this person is a complete tosser, a complete liar, are they standing back just going...
Yes.
Why are they not backing me up when I go, you're a cunt? Excuse me.
Yes.
Anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know,
like,
yes.
It takes a long time for me to blow at something. Like, really, really does. I have an awful lot of patience. Patience of a saint, honestly.
Yes.
But I'll give someone time to learn. I'll help them. I sound very arrogant now, but I try to get them to learn or to instruct them in a better way, perhaps, and hope that they might catch the hint. Because I don't feel like it's fair to punch someone in the face with something. It's really upsetting. It can send them into trauma, and you don't need to do
Oh,
that to
yeah.
anybody. Like when I go with somebody, if I really am sick of them now and they're an adult and they can cope, they will get full face Jill who will hand you your ass. And I don't
Yes.
mean it in factual things. I'll be going, you did this.
Yes.
It happened.
I know.
You might be deluding yourself about it, but I'm going to keep telling you that it bloody happened because it bloody did. And don't you dare gaslight me to try and let
Yes.
me think that I'm wrong or that
know.
I'm deluded in what I'm seeing, because I am not. Because I am not drunk.
Yes.
I'm not inebriated. I'm not under the influence of anything else other than realism. And
Yes.
unfortunately, you are under
Of a
the
heavy
influence-
dose of realism.
Yeah, which is difficult for a creative person.
Yes.
I can tell you. It's
Oh,
a
100%.
stretch.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, it's
It's the last thing we want.
I don't want to be engaged in that part of my brain. I don't. I really
Yes.
want to be engaged in the parts that's like la 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 la.
wee.
I want to make you smile.
Yeah,
Literally, that's
don't have
all
to
I
get
want
down
to
to
do.
the facts.
I only want to make people smile. So
Yes.
don't make me be Maleficent.
Maleficent,
Don't bring out Wake
It's
the
so
Dragon.
interesting, because I've been in a situation with a business, and I'll just say that the line is it gets to the point where it's like, oh my god, you're just it feels so blatant and obvious that they're just like blatantly lying, right, and blatantly giving like the worst judgment of certain things, and part of me just, it's like they're so either deluded, like as in they actually do think, or there's that other person sitting behind all this going like manipulating or whatever, just for self-preservation, whatever, and we can delude ourselves.
Absolutely.
in like,
I'm great at that.
yeah, I'm great at that as well. Like especially hypochondria, or even just simple things where my bias towards AI, for example, I'm like, yeah, I love AI, blah blah. So when someone shows me something bad, I'm like, no, it's not. It's not really bad because
Doesn't suit your narrative.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
suit my narrative because I've totally made a public declaration. So, but so it's hard when I know when I've already made, like, let's say a decision, let's say that's biased, when someone like conflicts that with information, I get a feeling.
In your
So
gut.
that feeling tells me, oh, I'm not being receptive to this information because I'm biased towards it, and that's when I use that kind of now as a signal to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to actually
Time
look
to
at
open
this.
up.
Yeah, time to open up in a
Yeah.
way, because we're all, the worst thing I think is
That's challenging your ego is what you're feeling.
And it's
Yeah.
and that's the problem with the world.
Yeah.
Because I think when we get in a disagreement, let's say, because the yin and yang, like there's two sides of every story, and even more than two, let's
Mm-hmm. Just
say,
fucking
a bajillion. But we're
nine
not going to
dimensions.
get anywhere arguing about, but like, what about this? What about that? Instead of like trying to like come together and figure things out. But just, I don't know how we got here, but just on the line thing is really interesting, because it's just one of the worst things I think it can do to reality itself. Like if everyone lied, like you wouldn't tell your children, oh, make sure you lie and keep the
No.
lies going. It's what you wouldn't, and you don't want people that you love to lie. You don't want people
No.
thinking it's a good thing.
No,
And
not at
yet,
all. The only lie that I know we might disagree on is the Santa Claus one.
oh yeah, well you actually have I have no say in the
Yeah, I
matter.
actually really wanted to bring you your own little fictional family so that you can have your little boy and your little girl. So when you reference them again,
and I can
you
bring them.
Yeah, you can
I
talk
still
about
don't know
them.
what I'm gonna do. So what's your hot take on the Santa
Jesus,
Claus?
I don't know if it's a hot take, but I do believe that magic needs to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that the way that we learn from having my own kids, right, I set them up dreadfully throughout the years and
Yes.
had so much crack for myself. Jesus,
Yeah.
they put you through enough. You deserve a bit of crack, right? Santa Claus is the best crack you'll
Yeah, I
ever
know.
have.
I love
Honest.
Santa.
You should be. Like,
I know.
I can't believe you would even for 1 second like deny your children
I know.
when they. Here's me imagining your fictitious
Yeah.
children too. Yeah, Donnagh's kids.
Everybody's in on the line.
Yeah.
But
Your kids of all kids will definitely deserve Santa
I
in
know.
your house.
I'd
Jesus
love
Christ.
to do it as well, but anyway, but you just give me your take. 'cause
Yeah,
I'm
so
giving
what
my take.
We've heard your take.
Yeah. We've heard your take.
No, I don't mean like that.
No, I know, I
Everyone's
know.
watched all of the podcasts,
Yeah,
haven't you? You have.
yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
know.
Who doesn't watch it?
Yeah, and he even did a special break, a special on
yeah.
his hot take on Santa.
But please, give me more.
So anyway, Santa in my house, loved it. I was a single parent for most Christmases, so
Yeah.
it was like inventing this magic or getting some control.
Yes.
Mainly getting some control, I would say.
Interesting.
But I hate Elf on the Shelf. I hate him.
Yes,
He's contrived, and
that seems too contrived.
No. I'll give you another one now. The pagan community of Ireland are up in arms about Elf on the Shelf. You shouldn't be inviting Nishioga into your house.
Oh.
No. Like, think of Irish fairies. Now, tell me about an Irish fairy you know. Can you tell me about a lovely one who was nice?
Oh, no.
Who was really kind and did everything they...
I'm scared now.
No, I know.
Why is it getting darker?
Because the fairies are outside going, don't tell them, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, it's like, it's enacting kind of that, the devil realm.
You're inviting magic into your house that you don't know, can't control, like, whether they're real or not.
I know.
If there's a possibility, it might be.
We've no idea. Like,
yeah, but your words mean something, right? That's something that has come from Sanskrit. We can see it when you look at those vibration tables. I'm really looking forward to work with that later.
Wow.
It's when you say certain sounds from the Sanskrit language. When it vibrates sound and moves it into shapes like sacred geometry. Okay.
Oh yes.
So these are frequencies that are created by either you saying the noise or something else creating the noise, like the sound bowl or whatever.
I've heard there's lots of different. One I seen was a crystal, salt crystal formations, basically being a certain word was spoken to them, and each one kind of formulated in a different kind of way. And I was actually listening to a video. There's this cool new rabbi that I've kind of found on YouTube. My algorithm's given me, but I just let the universe of information kind of follow me. And so he's talking about letters, and he talks about the Hebrew language, and the power. He's talking about the power of the energy of words, the energy of letters,
spelling.
Right? But this is he had a real good way of explaining it, right? So imagine the letter B, right, was out there in the sun, and then the sun shining on it. The it's a way to try visualize the energy of letters is like, okay, well, that B is like the stars or the photons from the star that travel millions of miles is now being stopped by this B that's there in a way. So how it kind of grounded the physicality of the energy of letters. And then there's obviously the actual tonality, like the sound of it, whatever. But I haven't. That's my hot take on energy and letters. But you please continue.
We were talking about Santa.
Elf on the Shelf. Well,
yeah. No Elf on the Shelves. They're bad.
Yeah, just on the Elf.
Don't
on the
like
Shelf.
Elf on the Shelf. Yeah, what?
Because it just seems too. It's just it creates too much of a lie in a way. That to me,
it's exaggerating a lie.
And it's like the kid. It's so easy how long? 30 days, whatever. You're gonna get caught out, I think, and you know what I mean? And you don't want to be seen as like with the Santa tale. Okay, let's say eventually you do tell them that it's or whatever, but with the Elf on the Shelf, I think the more let's say you're doing it every day, you're moving it around, the kid starts building up an image, and then eventually it's like, oh, they're just lying to me this whole time. It just feels way worse.
It does to me
in
too,
a way, yeah. So I'm just like. Keep Santa, but Elf on the Shelf, it just seems, and it manipulates the children in a weird way as well. It does, and I know we manipulate. And the thing with magic, my dad, right, used to be the best. He just tell us these crazy stories, right? Of he used to have this seagull, I forget the name, and a little lobster, and they're just little plastic toys. Yeah. But he'd tell us that when they come alive and they have their own little life and all, and then he'd tell me what they were doing during the day and everything, and they're still up my attic because it was just brilliant, but they were just these little plastic fucking toys, and they were so unassuming, let's say. But I remember one time I was having this weird experience where I could see loads of bubbles in my visual space, and my dad was like, "Oh, the seagull sorted that out," and he just kind of started flying it through, and then it got rid of them.
Wow.
So Matt, he took the Santa lie or myth or story, but he embodied Santa. This is what I realized, is that you can actually. It's not about lying.
No, because you are Santa.
Yes, you are Santa. Yeah, so you're embodying that that character, that image, that story, the essence, the spirit of that whole bit of good carry on. But the magic is important because I think allowing for magic, because reality, the older I get, even the more I look at reality, the more magical it becomes. Instead of, I don't know where the sort of materialistic sort of paradigm kind of crept into just ones and zeros when, let's say, my everyday experience of like speaking, right? How fucking psychedelic is it to just say words, right?
Brilliant.
And it's crazy, right? That I'm just saying without thinking. I'm improv. I'm doing improv
right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
yeah.
And that can't be quantized in any sort of strange way. Like your everyday experience is absolutely full of magic, I think.
Totally, completely. Like,
Yes.
I was telling you I wanted to give you a book because
Oh,
you're
yes.
having this mad
Yeah.
brain explosion thing. Epiphany, we're going to say, not psychotic
Not
episode.
psychotic break.
But yeah, the book I wanted to give you talks about that kind of thing. And when you read this book, in my experience, more mad stuff happens. The synchronicity gets
Turns
closer
up to
together
11.
and turned up to 11.
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
right. So, yeah, that kind of thing where you meet the right person at the right time.
Yes.
You, whether it's you giving the message out or them giving the message to you, it's like and sometimes you have something to learn from each other. It's like
Yes.
why when you have a relationship with someone and it doesn't necessarily work, but you know that you still love each other, and
Yes.
it's that they're the ones that are really the most groundbreaking, because you learn so much with that person for that space of time, but you understand that going forward you are not the right people for each other
Yes.
to be on the same journey. Do you know, like that, and that's really hard to
But he's
cope
gained
with.
so much out of the relationship. Like the
Yeah.
last relationship I was in, well, not the last one, the one before that, we both, like she showed me how to sing, basically. She
Cool.
removed the shame of singing, because she
Great.
kind of just forced me to sing in front of her. And then hopefully she got the meditation and forgiveness, I think I'll just say. She had kind of a terrible situation that she was having trouble dealing with, let's say, in her mind. And when I heard the story, I heard it a few times, and I knew it was like holding her back in a way, but I hadn't, like, it's terrible. Like, let's say someone killed your daughter, right? Like, it's hard for me to say, just forgive the person. Why don't you just
can't.
forgive? Yeah, that's what I mean. But a part of me does think in certain situations where it's like, okay, it is kind of weighing you down in a way. Like, maybe forgiveness is the wrong word, but I think in some situations, in that situation, it's like, well, I don't really think you could ever come to forgiving the person.
There's something like if there's something.
It'd be
in my
so,
life like
yeah,
that.
it might just be impossible. Let's
No,
say.
I'm never going to forgive someone for a certain thing.
But there are maybe certain things where you can forgive in a way, and that forgiveness, I even with my last business thing, I don't know if I forgive you in a way. I'm at a way better place than I was. I've gone through this whole mental sort of battle with it, and I don't know if I forgive. It's hard to say, because forgiveness means that, everything
You've
you
let
did,
it go.
I understand that from your point of view, and I get why you did it, and everything is fine.
I like that you say you can't forgive in that way, because I can't forgive for exactly that reason too. And it's not that I don't, like, I couldn't, be in the person's space or tolerate them. I can tolerate certain things, but I'm never going to forgive that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know that's like one of the fundamental things of every religion, is that you must learn forgiveness.
forgive.
Because if you don't forgive, then you've got this anger that's being
I
carried
know.
around, and you're the only person who's being hurt by it. I totally agree
Yeah.
that I am the only person who's being hurt by the anger that I feel towards a particular individual in my world.
Yes.
And I know that they don't feel anything, because I've met them and come
Yes.
across them, and I can't get over how the fact that they are not even remotely affected by the things that they
Yes.
did. And they're like that. Everyone else knows, but everyone's staying silent.
It's insane.
And they're getting away with it. And I look like the fucking crazy bitch who's going, this person did this.
Do you not see
and they're
it?
like, now, Jill, it's yours now. Can you not?
I know, and
I'm like,
people do
no, I fucking can't. Would you?
I know, but this is the hard thing. So, I have a situation, right, where I have a really good friend, and I know that they haven't been the greatest person in the world their whole lives, let's say, right? That they've done something in their past that was terrible.
Horrific. Yeah,
was
I have a
terrible.
friend like that too.
But it's weird, because I know they haven't. This is tricky, because from my point of view, I didn't see any of that, but I know, like, Jesus, I'd never want to be known for doing that, and I condemn it. I condemn. But
You can't wrap your head around it.
or something.
Listen, I'm going to be really straight with you, okay? Because I know you're struggling to talk about what you want to say, and I am very open about what has happened with me, okay?
Yes.
Lots of really bad things have happened to me. You've said lots of really bad things have happened to you, but I'm in a place where I don't mind talking about them, so I will talk about them. I was sexually assaulted when I was a child, from the ages of 6 to 12. At the time, it was still the Magdalene laundries were open, so please try and put yourself into that perspective. And at the time, people were like, oh no, we'll shove that under the table. And, like, I'm not saying anything bad about my parents. They did everything they could to help me. They got me a therapist. When they found out what happened, my dad, like my most reserved man, had a conversation with me about hoping that I would have a joyful sex life when he found out, which was, I know, the most difficult conversation he ever had, to the point that when I brought it up with him later, he went, "We never had a conversation."
Oh, stop.
I was like, "No, we did, Dad, we did." And I
yeah.
want to tell you, it's what saved me was that conversation, that he said to me that someone will love you properly and they will show you that what happened to you is not normal. Like, and if he hadn't said that, no woman could have said that to me. Do you know, it had to be a man, and it had to be my dad. It had to be.
He stepped in there.
But he said the right thing at the right time.
Yes.
Like, and the boyfriend I had at the time, the boyfriend I had at the time was amazing. Like, I will love him till the day I die for that. And get emotional now.
Yes.
But like, again, but we were, it's not like I lament our relationship or anything. I know we were together for a certain time. We learned so much together. It was a beautiful thing. And we parted ways at the right time.
Yes.
Broke my heart because we'd broken up and I wanted to get back on him. But he's like, "No, we're on this. We had this conversation." And it was me who had the conversation, not him. So it was like, oh shit, that really comes and bites you in the hole, doesn't it? Yeah. Careful what you wish for.
That's what happens, though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, yes.
So,
but yes, you've been through that. That's so you're alluding to, I think.
What am I saying about meeting the people again or trying to cope with it? So it's like you can, like the forgiveness thing.
Yes.
So I thought I forgave those people. I thought I'd moved on and I thought I'd got over it. Like, I've got over the physicality of it. That's okay. I can have a relationship with somebody again, and that's not that bad.
Not holding you back in that way.
Yeah, it's not anymore. So, but I didn't realize how much the impact of running into those people again when you've got that much rage can have on you, right? And certain times in my life, one of the people who abused me ebbs and flows into my world. Like, they grew up and were friends with one of my best friends. And when I talked to her about this and tried to say to her, "This person did this to me. Like, I know you can't accept it, but you need to know they did." And they're like, no, they didn't do that. They wouldn't do that. And they remain friends with that person. You know, like, and I don't know, it's quite topical at the moment because lots of people love putting on their social media, "Oh, if someone hurt you or your person hurt you, tell me and I won't be friends with them anymore." You cannot say that.
I know.
You can't. Like, I've been hurt. I've been, never mind abused. I was assaulted, fucking all sorts of horrific stuff that I'm not going to talk about because it'll only upset me, no one else. So, like, you have to get past that emotionally for yourself, but you will come back to those people. And it's more when people realize that they should support you a little bit better.
Yes.
But then they must also realize that those people do need friends. Like, and they're someone's son and someone's daughter. All I can say is that if it was my son or my daughter, I'd be devastated. But I couldn't. I never would hold their parents accountable or their
or like. How can you still? How can you not disown your child after this?
Yeah, but how could you disown your child?
I know.
After this?
How could you disown your child? In a way,
murderers have mothers too. Like.
Yes, no, but that's the thing, and that's like obviously now.
But when you think about it, right? The times where I've made bad choices, or like if you were to look at the times you made bad choices, they're usually the time where you have given it the least amount of thought.
Yes.
Like, I can imagine you're quite not calculated is
but
the negative version of what I want to say. You analyse
like,
things.
But I weigh up. I'm always looking, doing the calculations.
Audit your life or whatever. Not like a Scientologist, but just general reason, cause and effect, that sort of stuff. It's like, I've been through a certain amount of scenarios to know that this will happen if I do this, will happen if I do that. Those things you can calculate, but when you can't calculate or you can't give a variable, like you cannot determine what you'd even do in that split second.
Exactly.
You know, like a guy or a woman could easily become a rapist in 2 seconds. Like, and they were never aware before. They never had that mindset. They never wanted to do it. It's a crime of opportunity or a crime of misunderstanding. And that's a big thing probably for me to say, but having been through it and out the other side and maybe, it's
trying to make peace with it.
Trying to make peace with it. You have to make peace with it as the person who's been put upon, or as someone who's done it and has to reconcile that and try not to kill yourself after you've done that to another human. Like that's another thing. Like,
if you could understand the total gravity of it, which I think certain people have they're either they psychologically they're sociopaths, or there's like there's all these there's humans out there that their brain is just different in terms of how it
Definitely.
looks at, oh, your suffering in the world doesn't actually
Mean
register.
anything. But people can face, or like I think in my personal experience of mental health journeys,
Yes.
I've experienced lots of different personality types in my own brain. You know,
Yeah.
like you say, there's a fundamental me who's got certain ethics and moral code and all that kind of stuff, and I behave a certain way in any given situation. But then other things have come up that have highlighted parts of my personality that maybe I wouldn't have known were there or may never have shown up. And interestingly enough, when I did it, I wanted to be a performer all my life. I've always been performing.
Yes.
And my dad was, like I said, director of KPMG, very well-respected business person. And he would say to me, "You're too smart to just go on the stage. Your brains to burn. What do you act like?" But again, I couldn't ever sit down on an exam and do the exam, even though I'd know all the answers. I'd probably get 100% if I had an hour or 2 hours to do a 15-minute test. But because I'd be like, la 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 la,
squirrel.
Yeah, totally. Somewhere, it's totally squirrel.
Yeah.
So that's me. Like,
I know.
You can relate.
But it's funny, because certain when let's say, like, parents, I think, have the hardest job because they have their view of the world, and then they are trying to do the best. They're trying to like facilitate child's growth and movement towards a particular path, but yet they're limited in how they view the world because they're human. You know what I mean? So they can only say, "Oh, you're too like," they don't. Maybe if they were musicians, imagine they'd be like, "Oh, you don't be doing any of the KPMG study shit. Go and do art stuff."
The problem was both my parents were artistic. My mum had a diploma in design. She's a dress designer, fashion designer. She worked in one or two of the pretty good designers before she had to leave work according to the Irish law at the time. So she was one victim of that.
So you've had your parents sound like you've had such a good, solid sort of foundational bit of guidance. Or
like Dad was into music.
They were great people.
Yeah, Dad loves music. No, they're both great people.
But they're just great. Like, they just sound like, oh, that's their parents. You know what I mean? That's parents. Who you want. Like the ideal in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Mum could make my dresses, wwhatever crazy dress I wanted. She baked, she cooked. And my dad taught the rugby and brought us climbing mountains.
And
it was
able
great.
to like step into certain situations.
Yeah, no, I had great parents. I'm not going to deny that.
No, and it's beautiful to hear, and it's great because it obviously has probably helped steady the ship when the ship was very unsteady, I imagine. And just on that point, you're just in terms of everything you've been through, let's say, right, the whole like landscape that is Jill's story, somehow you've come through all this and you're sitting here right now, and you have this optimism, and I have it as well. I have that beautiful optimism for the world.
I think that's why I was really interested to talk to you.
I think that's why we get it. But you get it. That's probably what it is, right? You have that beautiful, optimistic view on the world and for people, and yet, from what you've spoken and alluded to there, I just can't. It's hard for me to reconcile them too, especially things like with abuse, because I don't know. I can play thought experiments in my head to see how I'd set, but no, I wouldn't have the faintest idea of how
coercion. If you weren't coerced and abused, and
I don't have any way to sort of mirror that in my head or experience, and I don't understand what it's like.
Please don't. You don't need
to.
Exactly. No, I'm grateful you don't.
No, and I know, but what I'm trying to. But when I hear at face value, I think that would just, your whole perspective on reality would just. It feels like it would not facilitate optimism in a way. So where do you think the optimism found its home then?
Because I believe absolutely firmly that we are simply figments of our own imagination.
Yes.
And we create the space we live in, and we allow whatever to exist in whatever reality we want to. You talk about your experience with psychedelics. They are my lifesaver. They are what shaped who I am.
Yes.
I'm really grateful I had really good experiences. I've never had a bad experience. I've only ever done it in a spiritual way to want to find out
Not in a
more.
recreational party way. Or,
Well, not in a party way. Myself
Yeah.
and my best friend did take them recreationally the first time, but we are such philosophical nut jobs that it couldn't have gone any other way other than philosophy and
and depth into the reality and your own psyche, maybe.
yeah. But what it did for me was more like I explained to you, my brain is like a Grand Central Station most of the time. It's like,
with raspberries.
with raspberries and thoughts, and then thoughts trying not to get in the way of the raspberries and all that kind of stuff going on. So it's like it's a busy place.
Yes.
And if the conductor's like, you know, having a sleeper, he had a couple of joints this morning,
no.
it mightn't be too good, you know. But well, actually, no, that's the opposite.
Yeah,
if he's
yeah,
had a couple
yeah.
of joints, he's working well.
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's doing brilliant.
Taking it easy.
Yeah, but no, I found psychedelics really helped me separate my thought processes, and I used to get that like trip off this brilliant visualization where I'm. Have you ever heard of the Ashantic records?
No.
Okay, the Ashantic records are supposedly this place in another dimension that holds the story of everything.
Wow.
Your story is there. It's currently being written
Oh,
right now.
interesting.
Yeah. So the idea of the Ashantic records is that anything that ever was or ever will be is kept as a record there. And when you go to the Ashanti record house, you meet yourself, but yourself from other dimensions or other eras.
Interesting.
So the person you meet will be you, and you will show you where your story's kept. And that's just an amazing idea.
That'd be beautiful.
Isn't it?
Hey, me! Yay! You got it. You understood what we were going through.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is these records supposedly keep the key to any possibility you could possibly have. So I really liked that idea.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I always felt like I could catch glimpses of something else happening that wasn't in my realm. You know that way? And I was like, okay, maybe you're mad. Or I could see shadows of things going on. And I was like, what is that? What is that? And I could feel something.
Yes.
Do you know the way? I could feel there was definitely something went past me, or energy moving, right? And Einstein has said very fucking clearly that nothing can be either created or destroyed energy-wise. It's always there, perpetual motion, moving from one state to another. So if, like, you know, a fart takes fucking space, it's going out and it's going to pass through something
in the molecule.
It's doing something. So there is a butterfly effect, and you can
yes.
feel it or you can not
Smell
feel it.
Sorry.
So, smell it. But that is the literal sense. It's why I chose a fart, because you can smell it and people will know it arrived.
Yes.
Whereas if you have do you ever feel like there's something in the air? And have you ever met people when they say, "Oh, there's something in the air today"?
Yes.
Do you know, like they're like, and it's all bad stuff is happening, or all good stuff is happening. It's like there's something in the air today. I always remember when we were allowed outside our houses after the COVID lockdown. The sun came out to beat the fucking band and everyone was out and everyone was sitting down and everyone was smiling. I always felt like, I think Skerries is a particularly interesting little town, that it's very affected by the mood of the people in it. It's weather cyclones. Yeah. So when there's bad things happening or people are upset, the weather can get quite bad. Or when, like, look at the big funerals. Does it not rain like hell?
Yes.
But then again, say if you were to pass away, I'm sure it would be a sunny day.
Yes,
you know, like
for weeks.
Yeah, for weeks, probably.
Make sure that.
Probably would.
I'll guarantee some nice weather for you.
But do you get me? It's like,
I know what you mean. Yeah, that kind of energy. Yes,
people create energy. We're creating it right now. You talked about that flow between certain people when it happens. You can feel your energy gets bigger with some people, or like you said, your brother can get small from it because he feels like everyone's pulling his energy all the time.
Depending if you're introvert or extrovert, I think you can, certain situations can either, you know, suck your energy or bring you more energy.
Definitely. But I that personality type thing. I went to go and talk about it and went off on a rant about something else.
Yeah.
When I was fucking 17, my dad sent me for a fucking personality test, right? Yeah. With an industrial psychologist who was going to tell me whether or not I was going to work as a director of KPMG or whether I was allowed to do drama, right? So this woman did a test to see what type of personality I had, what way it worked out. And I came out with this really unusual personality type. So I am an ENFJ, which means I'm an extroverted, I can't remember the N
Oh,
means.
judging.
Neutral, judgmental
Yes.
bitch, and but knowledgeable as well. So that means I'm calculating in my assessment of things. So
Yes.
I could be the judge in the court and give you a non-biased opinion. Is basically it.
Interesting.
But I have tendencies. When I did this test, she showed me the results, and it was like ENFJ or INFJ. So it was like I bordered between introvert and extroverted, but kept these other traits that were indicative of that personality type. And she said, depending on what you're feeling about whatever you're thinking or doing, you will change to be an introvert or an extrovert.
Yeah.
So if you're in down mode, you'll be an introvert. And whereas if you're feeling full of energy, you will be a complete extrovert.
Yes.
So
I have that. It's so strange because there's times where I don't want to see anybody.
Same.
And I even going to the shop, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have to see that cash register again. I just want to go. Sometimes I'll go out of town just to go shop because I'm just like, I don't want to see anybody. I just can't. I don't want to have to do like my little because maybe
people
it's in my own
expect
head.
you to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I in my head. So sometimes I just want to sit down and or go shop and not see anybody and just have to. So, because when you're in the shop, right, I've seen this really funny video about this, right? So, don't you see someone
You're almost famous.
Yeah, no. There's some funny. I get it. Anyway, I won't get to. But if you're in the shop, right, and let's say you see someone you know, and you're like, oh, how's it going? Blah blah blah, right? But as soon as I see someone I know, I just think, oh, I better not see them again now, because then we're gonna have to. It's like and then if I see them for the second, like as soon as I see them for the first time, I'm like, I need to get out of here because we've already had that interaction now, and I'm not doing it again. It'd be the worst, right? But seeing this video and it showed that exact happening, right? And then they see each other the second time, they're like, oh yeah, blah blah, and then it happens a third time, and they're just like, oh no, and then the fourth time they're just but I don't know what it is, because it's like, all right, we did our little thing, it's we peaked, let's say, in my head, so I just turned that a little bit towards and then lovely, perfect, and then. To top that as well, sometimes in a shop situation or whatever, I do make an effort. Let's say I will try, but then the pressure of like, oh well, I've used that thing, I've used this thing, that can put me off. And it used to put me off getting a haircut. Let's say,
wow,
just because I had to sit there, and the idea of having to sit there and keep talking, because once I start, I'll keep it going. But sometimes the idea that will push me away because I'm just thinking. Just the thought of it is worse than what it is when I'm actually in it. Because every lull, let's say, I feel sometimes I just have to fill it, let's say, or I want to bring something forth. I'm not happy with let's say things just tapering off. I need to keep it going. I need to keep the next tidbit coming in and this and that. It's a natural thing, because I can't sit there in that. You know, the mundane of just we're not having a good time, or we're not trying to like, let's say our particular topic ends, I'm just like, oh, where's the next one, like on a playlist. In a way I'm gonna pull it in, and sometimes in my head that can create sort of this push away from social situations, which is strange.
Same. I feel the pressure. Like I've met you in social situations, and I can imagine that there's a pressure on you to be that person all the fucking time.
But it's not. It's like I become in certain situations. It's not. Yeah, I feel like I'd like to. In every situation, I want us to leave it and be like, yeah, we had a good time with that. So then, like, having to make sure.
Why can't you not have a good time?
It's like I couldn't. I just hate for the interaction to not have been nice or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't really gone too deep on it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a part of me that, like, I'm really aware when I annoy somebody, like, or they're not having a good time. They're the one person, they're not involved in the conversation. And I'm just like thinking,
why do you feel the responsibility to bring that person back in?
It hurts me.
Why?
Because I can actually feel
Same.
what they're going. I can be like, they're not getting involved. Like, they're not. And so I'm like, as I'm talking to you, I'll be like, blah, blah. And all I'm thinking is, how the fuck am I going to get this person in on this now? And then I'm looking for that way to get them in. Because when all the things are moving together, that's where I'm like, that ease. Because
that's when you can stand back.
I can feel it's like I can just feel the pain.
Yeah.
Even though there's maybe not that much pain. And they're just like whatever. They haven't moved in, or there's a kind of an outsider, let's say, because they're new to, especially in the open mic scene. Let's say you see new faces,
Yeah.
and let's say I've become a little bit familiar, so I'm in a certain group, let's say having a conversation, but I'm like, oh, I seen that other person last week, I want to pull them into this now somehow, or you know what I mean? Because then there's no pain or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But there's something.
Did you spend any time on the outside of social groups?
Not really. I think.
But were you always the person who brought people into social groups because you found it easy?
So if I look at, in school, I knew every group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, didn't have I'd always be able to just go to like whoever, and like I'd be like, my brother as well. We were just the god with the we were able to just fit in.
Yeah, I would have been the same. That's why I'm
yeah.
intrigued to know, were you that type of person? I'd like pockets of friends that didn't interact with each other, but I interacted with
So
all
then
of
you have
them.
the two people, Joe and your friends or something, but they're like,
not friends with
they're
them,
not
and you're
friends
like,
with
what's
them.
this politics shite about? I
I
can't
know.
cope. Can you not just be friends with everyone? No,
Yeah.
I don't like them. I was like, why don't you like them?
I
And
know it's strange, but
Yeah.
I think my dad, he was always the kind of the same with everybody. You know what I mean? And it was him, I think, that instilled the thing about joy and honesty, let's say, because mainly joy, because he'd always be trying, even with stupid things on the phone, like he was ringing like the council or whatever it was. You know, he'd always be trying. You know what I mean? He wouldn't just be letting it be. He'd be like, no, you're grand, blah blah.
Yeah.
Like just being
Nice.
fucking nice. You know what I mean?
It's not hard, but it seems to be very hard to some people.
And you can feel it when people. I think I'm real sensitive to situations where people aren't making an effort in a way. Maybe that's what it is.
Do you know what? I've got older.
yeah. As we do all, hopefully.
It's a total privilege. But I get fucking annoyed when people are, when you are nice to them, right? And they're still just like, I don't know. I want to stop.
I know.
And I have stopped some people. This is my kids like walk out of shops going, oh my God, she's going again. When people are being absolute fuckers for no reason or rude to you for no reason, I actually have to stop them and ask them why.
Oh my God.
I'm a prick. Like my kids go, oh shit, we're out of here.
What do you mean? Like you'll just go.
I'll give you an example. Last night she said, oh honey, you look like a traveller, so I'm gonna watch you walk around my shop. And I said, hell no, I'm just wearing my slippers, bitch. So anyway, that was the gist of it. Yeah, no, really, that's what happened. I walked into a shop, into Spar, and this one behind the counter decided to stare me out of it. And because I had myself and my you've met my kids, we're pretty alternative looking individuals, and we are quite large individuals. We're tall, we're like Killian's 6 foot, Tegan's 5'9", I'm 5'9" in my boots. So, and then we had her 6 foot boyfriend with us as well, and we were all colourful individuals with colourful hair and colourful piercings and all the rest of it, and we looked like Arcade Fire on tour. And so we went into Spar.
Just an eccentric bunch.
Totally. Like we look like travelling cartoon characters. I'm not going to lie. We are the Addams Family. So we walk in, and I particularly looked nuts because I had taken my teeth out. That was one of the other things I had to have. This particular evening, I had taken my teeth out because I was ready for bed, and the kids asked me for a lift somewhere. So I forgot to put the teeth back in, and went to the shop, and it was like mismatched in such a bad way. I had a big flowy dress on, my slippers, and a bubble jacket or something like that.
Just
like
against all norms.
Completely. If the fashion police would have really liked to throw me in the back of their van. But this is the whole. But that's kind of the impression she got. Was that the police should be throwing me in the back of a van, and I should not be entering Spar to go shopping at all. And I caught her. Right? So I don't think she knew that me and my kids were together because I walked in ahead of them, and I went down to get whatever I wanted. They didn't have what I wanted. So I stood by the checkout because I wanted to buy cigarettes, but I was going to wait till they got me whatever they wanted to buy all the stuff together. So I'm standing there like this with my hands folded, minding my own business, probably singing to myself like a complete nut job. And I noticed her then eyeballing the kids who were walking around down the back and they're trying to get whatever they're getting, and she's like trying to see over the thing. And
oh no! All right, now that I cannot. Now that would annoy me a little bit. Like I can glance. Everyone's allowed a glance, but if you're making a special effort and then you're trying with your energy, with her actions. I say she's portraying a distaste or something like that.
Absolute distaste. If there,
Yes.
it looked like she'd been sucking a lemon. Like, I'm not going to joke. It was like,
Never
I
sucked a lemon.
just said to her, I said, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "What?" I said, "Are you all right?" I said, "You seem a little bit stressed out there." And she's like, "No, why?" I said, "Well, you seem concerned about the teenagers at the back of the shop for one, and you definitely seemed a little concerned about me when I came in." "Oh, no." But obviously, yes. Oh, fuck, you caught me face. Like,
Wow.
and I said, "Not all books should be judged by their covers. In fact, I'd go with no books should be judged by their covers."
Yes.
I said, "You don't know who those two
It's
are
like an
down
after
there."
school
I said,
special.
"You know your man, the really tall one? He's studying programming in TCD." "Yeah, he is, yeah." And she's like,
Yeah, you know.
I
Yeah.
said, "No judgment, please." I said, "You've no business judging people like
Yes.
that." I
And
said, "You should go home and have a cup of tea."
Yes.
And the kids were like, "Did you tell her to go home?" I did. Yeah, I told her to go home and have a cup of tea because she's not got the right attitude to be dealing with so many people in the town right now.
Yes.
It upsets me. Like, it's like, why would you pass on that shitty attitude to somebody else and make their day crap?
Especially in the
need
shop
to.
where to be sort of inviting. But it is, where does this come from, right? So like where, like, so let's say if someone walked into your shop with a knife, right?
Yeah.
Then you could be like, oh, I should be a little bit concerned about that, right? So let's say that's on the extreme end, right? So what is that? That's like a deviation from normality, let's just say, right? So your brain's looking out for that. So then in Irish culture it becomes dangerous because we perceive sort of, we're very this idea I've been wrestling with for a while, and it's kind of making sense of it. But we have this kind of, there's normal, let's say, in our head, and any slight deviations from that, we like, ooh, we're like, it makes us whatever, we
Feel
judge,
uncomfortable.
or we like, yeah, we're just ready to condemn. We're ready to condemn,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it comes out in our language. It comes out in lots of other ways. But there's a use in a particular way if someone walked in with a knife to be, and then this is an interesting idea. Now I've heard someone talk about this, but I don't know how toxic this is going to sound. But let's say in an airport, right? Everybody has to get a security check, let's just say, right? But should you put as much time into, let's say, women who are 75 plus and going flying somewhere as like me? Like, do we deserve the same level of like detailed checking? So you'll say yes,
Absolutely.
because anybody could be anything.
Jesus, can you imagine me when I'm 90?
Yeah. But what are they?
No, you shouldn't. You should leave people who are over 45 alone and not give them any security checks.
Yeah. But do you know, so what I'm trying to say is,
no, that's
But you think
benefit
it's
of
wrong.
the doubt will screw you over every time.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But let's say 1 in every 100, like, I think statistically speaking, I think like men.
I used to cry laughing coming through Dublin Airport.
As a side note, but anyway, I just
but I did, because people were judging books by covers and not really paying attention to body language
brilliant,
or
interesting.
anything. I should work in security. I swear.
That's
to
what I mean.
fuck.
So there is. So where? But let's say if I walk through with a knife, right? Then I should be checked more. So there is a line. Let's say you can. There's somewhere between hold the knife and like being just a person walking through the airport, where like it becomes like you're judging them by their cover, let's say. Like, so maybe it's not a knife, but maybe like, so we have to be careful when, what I'm trying to get at is what we see everybody walking with a knife when they just have fucking blue hair or something. We think they're going around wielding machetes or whatever. But what the usefulness of that is, okay, well, at least I think I was listening to a good podcast about this. And you might relate to this as a woman, I'd say, but our intuition, let's say. I'm late. I'm a like woman, let's just say, right, for this little thought experiment. I could be. Who knows?
Prove it.
Yeah. We'll be right back. No, but I'm finishing work late, and I'm getting into the elevator.
Yeah.
And the door opens, right, and there's just this guy, right, and he's in a tank top. And like, there's something, I'm getting a sense. For some reason, when I see this
You're
person,
uneasy.
I'm uneasy. But yeah, I step into the elevator because I don't want to be rude or whatever. Instead of listening to my gut. Now maybe my gut's wrong or whatever, but there's people that find themselves in situations, especially I don't know, but as I could gather from this, it's like societal norms, let's say, will put more pressure on women to conform, let's say, to just be not rude or to be nice and not listen to their gut and say, actually, hang on, I'm not going home with you or this and that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you feel about that.
Oh no, listen, I'm a Gen Xer. We were the ones who were told to hug that person, sit in that person's knee, be nice to that person. And it was like, I would never tell my kid to hug that person, kiss that person, sit in that fucking person's knee.
Sit on his knee. Jesus. But you know what I mean? It's like our intuitions are telling us, oh, don't.
A couple of times I've not listened to my gut, like, and to very, very bad ends. And I'm really like sad I didn't, because I'd be going, firstly, I'd have been gaslit to bits. What I now understand to be gaslit, going, you're paranoid about that, Jill. You're not, that's not real. That's not happening. I actually had a stalker. I really had a stalker. He posted letters to my fucking house, to my partner. Oh, dude, it was terrifying. He turned up outside my job. I wasn't in work one day and he went in upstairs to the office in Irish Life Centre and started demanding that I was having a relationship with him and that he needed to see me immediately. And everyone was like, no, she's fucking not even working here.
What?
Yeah, he followed me. I met him first when I worked in Stephen's Green Shopping Centre, and I managed to ditch him and stop him turning up because I worked in a fucking shop. You can't escape that, yeah. No. So this person kept coming in and coming in and coming in and coming in, and it was terrifying. Got really scary. When it got ultra scary was when I moved jobs and didn't tell anyone where I was going. Moved to the other side of the city, and he managed to fucking track me the fuck down.
Whoa.
Really scary. And he told me about his sister who sounded like she had like serious mental health issues and was attacking her father and all this kind of stuff. He wrote these letters saying all this kind of stuff and saying I was the only person who could save him from this or help him from this, and he needed my help. He'd be like swinging out of me. Like I ran into him literally like this at the Irish Life Centre where that horse is in the fountain thing. Yeah. And he was like, Jill, what a surprise. And I was like,
no, what a surprise.
What a fucking surprise. Worse again, right? Managed to ditch him after the letters thing. I went to Holland. That's how fucking bad I got it. Now, there was other things that made me go to Holland. Yes. I broke up with my partner and I was always planning to go to Holland because I hated being a criminal here and wanted to live my life as a free person because I'm not a fucking criminal. And anyway, I left. He didn't see him again. The person my partner said to me, I'm still getting letters from this psycho, and I was just burn them. And he was going to sell our house that we'd been living in anyway. Like we were selling that house. So it didn't matter. He wouldn't be able to find us after that, was what I was thinking to myself. Grand. Fast forward 7 years later, myself and my brother, Barry, he was home from wherever the fuck he was around the world at that time, and he took me to the Ivy Gardens, to the Spiegel tent and that festival thing that's just beyond there. And I'm standing outside the Spiegel tent, fucking couple of glasses of wine in, loving my life with my brother, because me and Barry go to really la 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 and have great crack. Like, brilliant. Yeah, we're the nutters in the la la la.
Yeah. You're the la las in the la la la.
He's the Mad Hatter and I'm Alice, and we just go around the place going, wee. Yeah. And who did we run into? I shit you not. Patrick fucking Bateman. It's his fucking name. Really, Patrick.
If you're out there, I'm scared now. You're bringing his guy. Like, this is worse than bringing the ghost of Elf in a show.
Oh,
this is
turn
like
up. He's a real person. He's a playwright. And he fucking goes to me, Jill, how wonderful to meet you. I wrote a play about our experience. And I'm like, you fucking
Our experience?
What experience?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and it's called The Staircase. And it's fucking, I've never watched it. He kept trying to tell me, he gave me and Barry tickets to go and that day because it was on in the Ivy Gardens. Yes. And I was like, Barry, we are leaving here right now. I don't care if Amy Winehouse herself walks in and says, Jill, do you want to jam at me? I'm leaving. So, Jesus. Yeah.
That is so intense.
Haven't seen him since. Thank fucking God.
A stalker. That is next level. Because it's a strange.
Happens more often than you think.
That's what I don't. I'm naive to this because unfortunately I have no stalkers yet. Touch wood. No, listen.
You're the type you'll have. Don't worry. Give it time.
What I mean is, I've done, let's say, extravagant shows of affection for women. Let's say, like one. I wrote a song, let's say, for a girl. Obviously, I've written songs for many girls, but like to there's one instance where like I did it just for her at the time and like handed it over, but like, and then it was like, oh, a bit weird, but I was filled with so much emotion. But the problem is that I can get the hint then. I'm like, oh shit, I've gone too far.
Yeah.
But I wasn't stalking, let's say. I was just like overwhelmed and like bowled over by this woman, and decided, this would be no. And I wasn't gonna send it, and then it just. Anyway, I don't want to get too into it. I wasn't gonna be the stalker guy, but things manifested in such a way where I just ended up sending it during another conversation we were having, let's say, right? And I just like, oh, what am I doing? And then I was like, it kind of just, anyway, the situation was fine. But the problem is, like, if I didn't take the hint, let's say, like, I can be like, all right, I fucked up there. Just now, don't go near that ever again. Like, leave that. That's like, don't annoy her. Don't be fucking like being that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna keep berating her with fucking plays and things. Like, oh no, that's it now. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Don't be.
But no, I'm not. No, it is. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But some people don't get the message in a way.
No, what like I have to say, what you were doing is different to what this guy was doing.
Oh no, I know.
You had genuine love and intent. I'm gonna guess that you knew the girl already, did you?
Yes.
It wasn't like you came out of nowhere, like a bat out of hell, going,
No.
I'm on your doorstep. Yes. I love you. I've loved you from afar forever. It wasn't that kind of thing. No. Okay, so there was basis for the fact of your interactions, right? No basis for the interactions with this lad.
Yes.
That's the difference between someone who fixates on somebody and somebody who genuinely has a love interest in someone. Like, you know, like
100%.
Don't stop doing those romantic
things. No, exactly,
things.
Like, but don't. The problem is, I think, as a man,
men can intimidate women more than they realize.
Yes.
Yeah. My own son, right? This is it's a private thing, but I'm going to say it because it's important for people to understand how bad it can fucking be sometimes. Like I explained to you, I've been through some weird shit. And when I run into people who are the cause of those feelings or they were the person who did that to me, I've noticed I get quite upset and I can almost go back into that mindset of everyone's going to get me, they can get me, I need to hide. And I go into complete fucking panic victim mode going, I don't want to be outside my house, I can't go down the street because I'm going to run into them again and I'm going to feel like this, they don't care, they're not going to feel like this, and I get into this whirlwind thing and it gets too much. So at this time something happened to my daughter that was really horrific and it brought back everything really horrific for me. So, and then I ran into one of the people who hurt me and then I ran into another person who hurt me. Oh, no. And this was all going on in the space of like 3-4 days. I was like too much. My brain, I really couldn't cope. I needed a fucking brain holiday. Like,
yes, I know what you mean. Well, not exactly, but I know what a brain holiday.
You do know what you mean.
Yeah. We all need a brain holiday.
Everyone needs a fucking brain. It's like you said to me that you need to not talk to people. You will go to fucking go to Little in Swords instead of fucking going. I need a brain holiday in Swords. Yeah, like that's where it's going to get to. No one knows. Well, I can't go to Swords anymore.
I can't go anywhere.
I discovered a new place, Navan. That's my new brain holiday place.
I love brain holiday, but keep going. Sorry.
I need lots of brain holidays. So I really needed a brain holiday this day. And I'm driving Killian across the Balbriggan to Skerries Road, right? And you know yourself, that's a fucking hairy enough road when you're in a little car. Like if you're in a heavy Passat or something big, it won't matter. You'll take it on like you're driving the cliffs. I'm grand. But in a little car like you or I drive, it's like you're over the bumps. You're wee, 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 wee. Yeah. And then you've got that big breakneck turn at the end. Yeah. So me and Killian are going wee over the bumps. Yeah. And he said to me, I'm going to hang him like a fucking sheet now.
You're a shit driver.
No, I'm going to hang him like a sheet by saying he needed a lighter off me, right? He's 17, it's grand.
Yeah.
He needed a lighter.
Like a candle or something.
Yeah, definitely. Or the incense that I like to travel over in the car. So the lighter was sitting on my knee in between my two legs, right? And he just reached over to grab the lighter and I went...
Oh, it came in your periphery in a way.
He put his hand here.
Oh.
But he didn't like touch my groin or anything. He just went to put my hand across my stomach area to pick the lighter up, which was like, I have to show people, it was sitting on my knee, say, there. And he went and grabbed it here. I fucking flipped it.
That's just triggered.
Two hands off the wheel.
Oh,
two hands off the fucking wheel. Knees up on the seat. I went into this. And Killian grabbed the wheel and he's like, Mom! And I was...
Because that was just like a...
I've never experienced PTSD in my life, like to an extent that that's what happened to me. Like I've had people go to touch me where it flinched, but I've never gone
because
into
in that moment your brain is kind of it's on the drive or whatever. So
I'm
it's
driving
like,
a car with my fucking most precious possession, other than my daughter in the fucking car with me, and I'm like,
but that your brain wasn't all.
My brain turned off. It went black.
That touch, and I didn't see the context of it even. So it just probably brought back the most sort of prehistoric version of that feeling.
Yeah. And I like only for Killian was able to go, Mom, and he said the words Mom, and if he had said Jill, if it had been anybody else in the car, do you know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
He brought me back because he was Mom.
Yes. That's the context of this situation.
And I was like, put my hands on the wheel, and I had taken my feet off the fucking pedals. Jeez. Thank God. I had another like. No,
that's crazy.
Do you get but that's the level of fear that like my own son put into me in a really abstract moment because I was in a weird place. And I can say that women who've been through trauma are in that place for a very long time.
Yes.
Very, very fucking long time. I thought like I was over it. I'm grand, do you know, like, and then that's only last year that happened to me. And it only happened to me because I was thinking about something that happened to somebody else that was as intense a feeling, do you know, like, and I just was going, oh, it never goes away. It never fucking goes away. In spite of how you, like, you can do all the work you want, but something can unnerve you at the last point, at the moment when you least expect it, and you just are shell shocked back in that feeling. And the thing that I want to say to people, why I brought it up, is that feeling, it's not real and it goes away. It is the figment of your own imagination that I described earlier. You don't have to stay there in that feeling, and you can find your way back out. It's only temporary, and it's an echo of something that happened to you before. So my experience of it is that telling yourself that in a moment when things overwhelm you or get too much for you is to remember that you have a ladder, you know where it is, and you can climb out.
There's the ladder.
And this isn't real. This isn't.
Yes, it's as real as you make it in a weird way.
Yeah, but you can give yourself that feeling. Like I've given myself that feeling when I'm the last person in Tesco's in Millfield, like you know, and I've parked my car at the opposite end, and I want to.
Yes. I now this is something because this is something I subject myself to. Now it's obviously like a very mundane version of this, right? So I'm not trying to fucking bring parody with your experience and my experience, but there's a really dark lane, right?
Oh yeah,
we
used to bring our gear in and out there at the back of Morning View.
Oh that one, yeah. But so sometimes if I'm on a walk and it's nighttime, right? I'll be just thinking, sometimes I've never able to wear headphones and I have to take my headphones off, but there's something scary about it, right? Totally. But I couldn't even, yesterday I was doing it, I was like, I'm not doing it tonight because I'm too scared. Because it's scary, right? Yeah. But there's something about subject yourself to that and trying to be like, it's just dark. It's just dark. Yeah. But it's fucking scary.
It is.
And there's something about just a little
well, that little name's particularly.
Someone's gonna be waiting for if someone ever scared me, that would probably scare me for
There's worse, there's little back passages going onto us, but there are little doorways out onto that lane.
I know,
anyone could appear out of them.
It's so dark. But anyway, so the point is that with men, and I think this is what I was getting at. Sometimes if we're not like, I think it's a problem with not taking, let's say, for rejection as what it is, or a no as a no, and being like, oh, obviously she's just fucking now this is tricky, right? Because maybe is there a part of the chase where
the no is involved? It is.
I don't know, but I'm not saying because it's if you're. But it's hard to, obviously you need to know.
Is it not the old adage? Now, this is something I feel strongly about, so I'll agree with you on it. Is that the whole way we are raised is and our genetic fucking requirement is that the lad goes, how about it? And the woman goes, fuck right off at yourself, show me what you're worth.
Yes.
That's kind of the way, even the animal kingdom do it. It's you don't get there just because you asked. You know,
that's the thing.
You know, you gotta be told, no, you're not worth it.
And you have to
show me that you're worth it.
That's the whole conversation. Show me that you're worth, because for women it's like, let's say, especially when there's kids, like, and stuff, you have to, I suppose if you're picking a man, it's like they need to be a deep...
Trialed.
They need to be trialed. No, but 100%.
Trial by fire.
Yes, trial by burn them.
I wish I'd done more of it in my time.
Yeah,
You know,
but
like if I could, that's the one thing I say to my daughter. Check this part out. Check that part out. Find out what his feelings are about this. Find out what your feelings are about that, because your fundamentals are what are going to keep it going or help you build a good relationship to the end that'll last till the end of your life. You know, like there's so few people of my generation who have had the skills to maintain long-term relationships, and the ones who have, I really admire them, because they learn about the give and the take, and they learn that not every day you're a wonderful person and it's not all fucking roses, and sometimes you're just a prick.
Yeah,
and that's okay, because you know, sometimes she's a bitch, or,
exactly,
you know, like
or I'm a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
So, he's a bitch, like.
Yeah, and it's role reversal happens quite so often in long-term relationships, like that.
100%.
And if they don't, there's a problem. If you can't ebb and flow with each other, there's a problem.
Yes,
so,
exactly. Because it's going to fluctuate.
Yeah,
it's just about, you know, being able to drive the ship or the car, whatever analogy you want, in whatever circumstance you're in at that time, and being able to negotiate it and not take that as I think negotiation in any relationship is the most important. Like, it's like, I need to be saying upfront, even though, you know, I'm getting real angry, like the fact that you just left that there, like, it's really annoying me, and you've done it a few times now, and I know, but sometimes there's a really good story I heard of this. So there's this guy, this couple, let's say they've been married for 50 years, right? And one day, his wife makes him lunch every day when he comes home. Let's just say that's the story. Then one day, he's just real tired or whatever, and she just puts it on the same plate that she's done it on for the last 25 years, and something just makes him go like, "Oh, the plate's too small," and it's always been too small. But he's always put up with it, because he's like, he was just maybe. There's no point in saying it. You know what I mean? I'm happy and grateful that I'm getting lunch. But he just internalized that, and then eventually it comes out, like, and it sounds so stupid, right? But we are not stupid, but we get the things we get annoyed about are things that we might think aren't worth making a fuss over. But if you're gonna live your life every fucking day, and unfortunately you can't help that little thing is annoying you, right? Mm-hmm. If you could, you just get rid of it, but it's annoying you, so you need to say it. I think, or not say it like, you do this, you do that. It's like, this is a conversation we have to have, because, and I'd love for us to improve this situation, let's say. But I think the problem is I know I'm going off on one here, but on especially with relationships, not that because I've been in ones and I've like studied in a way, because I want the next one to be gotta figure it out, like. But when you're not basically saying like what's in your heart or whatever, over time you can build up a story of the person.
It's a white lie.
That's not. Yeah, it's exactly. But if I can create a story about the other person that isn't real, that I'm keeping to myself, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just not this thing. It's not. And then when I talk about it, it becomes less. So I think the sooner, the better. And but it makes it awkward, because it puts you in a vulnerable situation. Because I'm saying that annoys me. It's like, but it's just so they could just turn around and go, "That's such a stupid thing to be annoyed about." You know what I mean? You're putting your heart on the chopping block. Like, that's the problem, I think.
But if that person is, you know,
I know,
by asking that question and them not finding any, I don't know, Cora with you're upset about it, then maybe you aren't right for each other.
Exactly. No, 100%. And but it's that stepping into the, like, it's probably a problem just with our humanity in a way, that, and I think with relationships in general, probably more so in the past with men and women, because it was just like, oh, you're married, and like no matter what he do, like, you're just going to be together now, and which I think is, there's something beautiful in terms of, but it could be negative if the lad's a fucking like a woman beat or whatever, and you're just sticking around because that's your duty or whatever. Yeah. But if we can, there's probably loads of things, like, and especially with lies, like if you're in a relationship and the other person's lying to you, you know they're lying, and they're just saying they're not lying, but you know, everyone knows. But they just have to keep trumping it. They just go, no, I'm not texting anybody. Why do you keep thinking about that? I'm not texting anybody. But we know, I wouldn't ask the question. The reason that I'm asking is because we know you're lying.
Anyway,
Anyway, look, we've gone I don't know how long we've gone for, but I think we're coming up probably to 2 hours. Let's say.
Jesus.
Which is maybe actually I'd have to double quadruple check, but so we've outlasted what you might have thought we would have done.
Jesus,
anyway.
definitely. I thought it was. I didn't even notice it was that long.
But yeah, either did I. So I think it's hard for me to actually gauge because I got rid of all the clocks because the number thing was fucking me up because I was like seeing too many numbers too often and I was like making correlations and stuff. I was like,
you were doing a 23.
Yeah, I don't want to have to see them. I just get rid of them now. And because the problem with the numbers, we also see more numbers now than we've ever have in our previous history as well. So that has to play a part of it. But I don't want to get too...
No, don't put me down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I won't come back.
Let's just wrap it up, right?
Bye.
So you're working on an album at the moment, actually.
I am.
How's that going?
Yeah, not. I did my guide tracks. I went into the studio and getting my bands together has been
tough.
Slow and difficult, but
they have to all be together for it to take place.
Yeah, kind of. And I really want these particular people, so that's kind of worth the wait.
That's tough.
But the studio guy, the production guy, is like, "What the fuck, Jill? Get your ass in here!"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Yeah, I will eventually." So, but I've done my guide tracks. They're down. That part of it's done, but I want it done by the summer, finished.
Yeah.
So while I've been waiting for my original bands to get their shit together, I've been jamming with the covers band. So
okay.
Let's go crack. So playing a gig with them in the Workman's on the 15th of May.
No way.
So, we're going to do it for Pieta House and for Women's Aid and for Tigleen, the children.
What's the band? Is it just
Malpractice? They're called.
Malpractice. That's where it came from. Interesting.
We are the best covers band in Dublin.
Brilliant.
We played Favours a few times, so
that's good. Yeah,
we're going to play our own gig in Workman's for charity. So
wow, we'll get it all in the information in the description there now.
Yeah.
But so I'm just looking forward to whenever this album.
I want to do more of that open micy thing because, like, let's be honest, the other night was a shit show when I was trying to organise a fucking party and do fucking something else. So I want to do that again. Too many variables.
Too many variables. You need, but yeah, if you go like in Skerries, like there has to be room for it, I think somehow. Yeah. Especially with our level of optimism.
Definitely.
So,
I was thinking of doing something like Joe Mays will give you the upstairs. So if we were to do something sort of like informally, when just give people a chance to stand with a microphone and a PA and hear what their voice sounds like, and literally do performance coaching for people, but in a really kind of cozy space. I don't want to charge money for it. I just want it to be people who want to go into town to the open mic scene but are terrified. Give them a platform to practice before they go out into the big bad world. Do you know, like.
Yeah, because it's all just about, it's like exposure therapy. I think everything is just about exposing yourself to little increments of the grand idea or ideal that you're shooting for. Because it just gets easier and easier and easier. Like, you know what I mean? You're not born with like no fear of the unknown. Because everything's the unknown. Everything's unknown until it's known. And when it's known, it's like, oh, that's grand.
Yeah,
and then you don't even know the way you had it in your head wasn't anything to do with, like, it's just crazy. But you have to show yourself that you're capable of doing these things, and I hope we've shown people today that we can be honest and forthright with conversation, and I'm very excited about getting people's ears onto this, and I really appreciate you having on. And did I even say that right? Can we go back? I really appreciate you having you on, Jill. Did I even say that right?
I don't know.
Why can't I do this right? I can't wrap it up. I'm too emotional now.
Finish the conversation. That's
I just want to finish it.
We're gonna have a cup of tea later.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this. I want to get some of them cream buns and draw it actually. But look, Jill, thank you very much again.
You're
and I'm
welcome.
not even gonna try to say any more than that. And we will catch you in the next one. Let me bang that.